Hello everybody. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to get on here. I'll get started shortly. Welcome to Saturday afternoon, July 24th, 2021. This is Ernest Sears Jr. coming to you with episode number 30. Author of Detox Your Circle, Activate Your Destiny. I have a mouthful for you today. Not really sure how it's all going to come out, but it should be noteworthy. All right, everybody. So happy to be here. Today's day, the numerology digit for the day is 9. It just so happened that the last time we were together, the digit was also 9. It was on last Thursday before this previous Thursday. I had come on earlier in the week than normal, and so the day fell on a 9 day. Well, a week and 3 days later, we are on the 9 day again. So maybe it's important for people out there in the human collective to have more of an understanding of how the digit 9 impacts us. But at any rate, the digit 9 has to do with divine completeness. It has to do with being a humanitarian, someone who's very wise. And the number 9 has the cumulative effect of all the numbers 1 through 8. It is usually someone who's very tolerant, very spiritual. It is a number that is associated with enlightenment. It is associated with the 9 fruits of the Spirit, which are progressively rigorous aspects of love. Love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance, or self-control. So those are the 9 fruits of the Spirit, which actually have to do with love as it becomes more and more multifaceted and more refined. Okay? It has to do with awakening. It has to do with insights that are divine. So the number 9 is very, very important, and the most important thing is that it has to do with the end of a cycle. So the number 9 again has to do with the end of a cycle. And whenever I know and I realize that I'm at the end of a cycle, I want to know, what have I learned? What have I been observing that I am going to apply to my life? And so whenever we talk about 9, one of the things you should keep in mind is, okay, if this is the end of a cycle, that means that I've just gone through a cycle and there's something that I should have learned, something that I should have observed, and should be at the point where I can apply it to my life. And so this is where my experience, my personal experience, is brought to bear on this particular live and what I do every week. I'm bringing to you, actually, in a transparent way, my own experience. I'm trying to get you to see what I am going through and giving you the opportunity to apply that to your life. So what I'm learning now is that I am settling into this role of a conscious creator. My life is showing me right now that being a conscious creator is about understanding the power that comes from consistently being aware of my thoughts, my emotions, my perceptions, and how I can generate a more intentional, more desirable reality based on me constantly being an observer of my own thoughts and emotions. I'm no longer just going along for the ride and just reacting to life, being triggered. I now, because I'm a student of life and I am observing myself, as I do that more and more often, it's becoming the norm. It's becoming the default where I am observing myself. It's like I'm sitting over here or floating over here, watching myself thinking, watching myself feeling, watching myself responding. And there is a certain power in that level of awareness. And as I step into that awareness, on a consistent basis, it's a new way of living. It's a new way of experiencing life. And so as I more consistently observe, and see myself as creator, now I am more of a curator. Now, listen to me. What is a curator? A curator is basically someone who runs a museum and has the expertise and background to select the artifacts that go into the museum. So you, as a curator of your own inner life, you begin to, because of your constant observation of yourself, your emotions and your thoughts and your perceptions, you begin to selectively curate. You pick the thoughts and you pick the emotions from the array of all the different emotions you have, positive and negative, good and bad. You begin to, because of that heightened level of awareness, you begin to curate the emotions and the thoughts and the perceptions that you want to work in combination to create the reality, the external reality that you want to be your external reality. When we become conscious creators and therefore curators of our inner world, then we become more in control of what we see in our external life. Because as you've learned, you are projecting out your inner life. You're projecting what's happening in your heart, in your spirit, in your internal energies. Those things that are at play internally are projected out into your world. So what you are experiencing is only a manifestation, a reflection of what's happening with you internally. So as you become a student of your own inner life and your own inner progress, because you are such an observer, and that's becoming your default mode, observer, you now are curating. You now are selecting those thoughts and those emotions that you want to actually keep and focus on, so that they together create a certain kind of alchemical, energetic reaction that creates a new aura, that radiates a new frequency for you. One that is not happenstance, one that is not based on a past pattern, not one that is based on some traumatic experiences, but one that you have generated based on your selection, your creative consciousness. You're curating those emotions and those thoughts that you want to hold on to, that are good, that are going to now be projected into your world. Are you following me? And so now, with this new awareness I have, I'm creating a new world for myself. I'm creating a new experience that's based on my new inner experience. And so one of the things I have done is I have asked Spirit to let me know when I'm on the right track. Oftentimes we have, life can be a roller coaster ride, and it always will be to some degree, but you can maintain a certain state of equilibrium as it goes up and down, a certain level of equanimity, knowing that all things are working out for you, right? It doesn't matter if it's going up or down. So what's up, Mitchell? Mr. Lubin? It doesn't matter if your life is going up or down, around, twisted. It doesn't matter if you know that all things are always working out for you. So you can maintain that level of equanimity, that level of equilibrium. And so I've asked Spirit to let me know when I'm on the right track by letting me see hummingbirds, because that's what I selected. I had a day long time ago when I saw some hummingbirds, and I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling good today. So in the future, whenever I want to know I'm on the right track, because this feeling that I have right now is so good, show me hummingbirds to let me know, to remind me that where I am right now in terms of my emotions, my thoughts, my energy, my vibration, my frequency, remind me that this is showing me that I'm on the right track. So that's all to say that whenever I see hummingbirds in my life, and it happens at beautiful moments, it's a reminder that, yes, Ernest, you are doing well. Yes, Ernest, you're on the right track. Yes, things are moving along as they should. And so let's talk a little bit about that. Hummingbirds, as a spiritual sign, as a spiritual symbol, they are very high frequency. Those wings are beating at such a high frequency. You can't see them. You just hear a buzz. It's like dealing with bees. Okay? And hummingbirds are used, as maybe some of you didn't know, but they actually pollinate plants. So there are 5 different animals that pollinate plants. One is the bee, and we all know that. They are necessary and required for our survival on Earth. We have to have bees, and they are definitely declining because of all the pollution and some other things. But bees pollinate, butterflies pollinate, and butterflies pollinate a larger swath of area. So bees are concentrated in one particular area based on where their nests are, but butterflies cover more area. But you have bees, you have butterflies, you have hummingbirds. So hummingbirds pollinate. You also have moths. There are certain kind of moths that pollinate. And then, believe it or not, many of you didn't know this, but there are certain bats. Yes, bats pollinate some plants. So those are the 5 pollinators. And so, if you look at these as spiritual tokens or symbols for us, some of them are on the light side when it comes to positivity, or what you may think is positivity, but they represent the side of the light, and others represent the shadow of the dark side. Either way, it doesn't matter. You're going to need pollination from all sorts of parts for your life to continue to move forward and for you to expand and be able to accommodate what is coming for you in the future. So what I want to talk about is transformation, because all of this, everything that I'm covering has to do with transformation. It has to do with the change that has to happen consistently for you to continually unfold and become who it is that you're supposed to be. And the transformation that takes place is not going to be based on a change that you make externally. It's not going to be based on, detoxing your circle by removing somebody from your life. Transformation always takes place on the inside. It only happens when you have the self-awareness to go inside and to begin to observe yourself, like I was discussing at the beginning of this live, and go inside and make those adjustments and heal the things that need to be healed. So I want to give you some tips right now that can help you transform and help you to begin to align yourself with the vision you have for your life. Okay, so the first thing is that you want to envision the outcomes that are aligned and in sync with where you want to go in your life. Envision those particular outcomes. Let me give you a story. I'll give you an example. When I knew I was going to write a book, I began to imagine that I had already written the book. And I imagined I was in Barnes & Noble, and I was sitting there, and I was putting my signature. I was signing books. That's what I imagined. And what you have to also do is you have to associate your vision. You have to engage with the 5 senses. So you in order for that to be real, you have to engage your feelings, your emotions in this vision that you're having. So I imagine the people and what they had on. I imagine the conversations we were having. I saw what I was wearing. I in the vision, I imagined the store where I was, and I in detail imagined the aisles and the lines of people and how I signed my name, what it smelled like in the air. I smelled a little coffee that was coming from the little coffee shop that was in a corner of the bookstore. You have to make it real, because when you do that and you marinate in that, it's something that you can visit and revisit in your meditation, so that it becomes more and more of a seed that you've planted, and then you are pollinating with the focus that you're putting on it. Does that make sense? And so once you do that, you also want to reverse engineer your vision. What do I mean by that? Well, I imagine I was in Barnes & Noble and I was signing books. Well, what had to happen before that? Well, step back. Well, before that, you had to have, sent your book to a publisher. Okay, what happens before that? You have to have put together an outline of your book proposal that you're sending out to agents. What happens before that? Well, before that, you have had your book edited by editors, and they've given you some feedback. What happens before that? Well, you had to have written the book. Before that, you had an outline of the book where you outlined all the chapters and you had a thesis statement. Before that, well, you came up with the title. So you've reverse engineered your vision so that you have all the steps in place so that it is aligned and it is in sync with where you want to go. So those are the tips for bringing to fruition a life and a vision that begins on the inside of you. Okay, so it begins with a feeling, and then you have to act on those feelings, and you have to begin to strategically do things that are in alignment and in sync with this feeling and this vision. Okay, so another metaphor that I want to give you is that of a garden. Your life is a garden that has lots of different things growing in it. And there's some things in your garden, hopefully, that you're very happy with. There's some beautiful flowers and some beautiful plants and some beautiful fruit trees or vegetables. Whatever the case, somebody had to plant those. And I'm assuming that you're the person, the master of your garden, and you've planted these things. Many of them started from seeds. And you had to study and understand the gestation of each of those seeds. You had to understand what kind of watering and what kind of fertilizer each of those different types of plants required in order to grow. And your life is the same way. Your life has different aspects. Your garden, your life has different aspects. And each of these aspects, whether it has to do with your lifestyle, your health, your friendships, your wealth, your activities, there are about 12 different spokes that I go through when I coach people. There are different aspects of your life that require different levels of attention and focus based on the stages those particular aspects are in. And so these things in your garden need to be tended to, and they need bees, and they need butterflies, and they need hummingbirds and moths and sometimes bats to pollinate them. Okay? And so there may be someone in your life, and I'm gonna talk about this. A very good friend of mine called me earlier today, and I'm not gonna say his name, and he's gonna say, "Wait a minute, I wound up on Ernest's life." I'm not gonna name his name, but anyway, he called me because he has a friend or an acquaintance that he's determining whether or not he wants to cut off. And he gave me the story, and I listened to him. And basically, this is the same advice I'll give anybody. I wrote a book called Detox Your Circle, Activate Your Destiny. And as you might imagine, most people thought it had to do with getting people out of your life, getting rid of people. But if you read the book all the way to the end, you find out that the joke's on you, that detoxing your circle means you draw a circle around yourself, and you go on the inside and you make the adjustments to yourself so that your vibration and your frequency is such that you only are attracting those people in your life that you resonate with. So if there's someone in your life that you want to detox from your life, it starts with you going inside and healing that part of you that's attracting that person that you are calling toxic. At any rate, I reminded him of that, and I told him that the people that are in your life, based on all the work that I know you've already done, whether it's shadow work, whether it's healing, whether it's counseling, therapy, whether it's just learning to be a conscious creator and observing yourself, I told him anybody who is in your circle right now is there for a distinct purpose. They are there to shine light on your blind spots, and they're there to teach you lessons that you would not learn without them. Okay? So if there's someone in your life that is causing you some discomfort or challenging you, oftentimes they are putting you in a situation where you have to set boundaries that you otherwise would not have set. Sometimes they're causing you to make adjustments in yourself so that you can accommodate more, so you can grow and you can expand. So you don't want to remove the people from your life because they're not obstacles. They are there to catalyze you into and catapult you into a higher level of awareness and a higher level of experience and cause you to make these adjustments in yourself. So we don't want to be cutting people from our lives. We want to go in and do the surgery on ourselves, on our own energetic fingerprint, blueprint, so that we can begin to attract the people in our lives that are supposed to be there and the people that are not supposed to be there. As we make those internal changes, those people that aren't supposed to be there will no longer resonate with us and they will fall away. And so I'm believing that he took my advice and he's not going to get rid of that person, but he's going to make the changes on the inside, and he's going to verbalize and communicate the boundaries that need to be set. And that's going to help him in the future so he can accommodate more. So my message to you all is that your awareness and your level of consciousness is really going to determine how high you vibrate. Okay? So just like I said that for me, hummingbirds, because they vibrate so high, they let me know I'm on the right track. Remember that sometimes in your life, some aspects of your life need to be pollinated not by a hummingbird or a bee, but sometimes they need to be pollinated by a bat or a moth. There are shadow aspects of you that maybe you don't see, but sometimes the way for you to grow is going to require pollination by a dark aspect, by someone who is a challenge, by somebody who's presenting an obstacle to force you to set a boundary. So sometimes the pollination is going to be a bat. Sometimes it's going to be a moth. You know what I mean? And so you have to allow yourself to be open to the lessons that are right there before you to learn. So for me, as I said, I love when I see those hummingbirds because they vibrate so high and the frequency is so high, and it lets me know that when that hummingbird gets close enough in proximity to me, that only means that it's resonating with my high frequency, right? And so my question to you as I end is, the people in your life, the people in your circle, what kind of symbol are you for them? Are you a hummingbird? Are you a bee? Are you vibrating so high that when you're around that person, they're saying to themselves, I feel so good. Wow, every time Mitchell is around me, I feel so good. This is so great. Every time, Frank is around me, or Sharon is around me, or every time I get a visit from Karen, I feel so good. Symbolically, what are you in people's lives? I want to be a hummingbird, is what I'd like to be. I want to vibrate high so I make a difference in people's lives, and it makes them feel like they're on the right track. So that is what I had today. I hope you all enjoyed it. I didn't want to stay before you very long, but I definitely wanted to get this message out. And enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Remember, a 9-day is the end of a cycle. So take some time to reflect on what you've just experienced and what you have learned and how you're going to apply that to the rest of your life. You take care. It's always, always a pleasure getting on here and chatting with you all. Take care now.